welcome to the Product Coffee Show. The Product Coffee is a weekly virtual coffee meetup where product managers and product marketing professionals from around the world get together and exchange tips and ideas and suggestions for how we can raise our professional game together. We usually have someone come kick off the discussion with a short presentation or conversation starter, and then we break off into smaller groups where we can get to know each other a little bit better and talk a little bit more deeply on the subject at hand. Then for the show, we take the best bits from those meetings and combine them into a 15 to 20 minute episode that you can watch while you're having your morning cup of coffee, or if you're just taking a coffee break sometime throughout the day. So if you like that idea, be sure and subscribe below and hit the like button and the bell to make sure you get notifications every time we publish a new episode. And if you'd like to join us for the networking and the coffee meetup, you can do that by going over to productcoffee.com/newsletter and subscribing to our mailing list. Now that's the only way you'll get an invitation each week to join us in person, or virtually in person. And you'll also get some other great content as well. And speaking of content, we're always looking for really good ideas for the types of things that you'd like to see us talk about at Product Coffee meetups and on the show. So go over to productcoffee.com/ideas and submit your suggestions. We've got a request board there that lets you make suggestions and vote on suggestions that other people have made so that the best ideas rise to the top and we make sure that we prioritize them. Where have we seen that before? Okay, so that's enough of the setup. Let's get to this week's show. This week we're joined by John Mansour of Proficientz. John came to us to share some ideas about how we could really change our game and as we're thinking about our next professional steps. So whether you're in the market for a new career right now or for a new position right now, or you're really starting to think about what your next step might be, John had some great ideas to share about how to market yourself as a high-value solution. We hear about marketing ourselves as product and treating our careers like a product all the time, but this was kind of a different take. And when you really start thinking about the solution mindset that you bring to the table as a product professional, it really starts to change the game about how you can compete in the market. So sit back and enjoy your cup of coffee and take a look at what John had to share with us.
Many of you have probably seen or heard other sessions about how to market yourself like a product, so I'm going to throw a different twist on this, which is how to market yourself as a high-value solution. And the whole point here is if you are going to make a career move or if you're looking for a job, you want to do something that's going to engage your hiring managers and bring their vision to life, as opposed to talking about the features and benefits of you as a product, okay? So we'll talk about that. And again, Jason, I don't know how you want to, if you want to do Q&A after, or if you want to make this more of a discussion during, your choice.
You have the control. You choose how you want to do. What we normally do is have some Q&A at your leisure, either during or at the end, and then we'll break off into small groups and kind of go off and see if we want to build on or add any ideas to share back with the larger group as a smaller networking activity as well.
All right, cool. So it's a pretty short, in terms of content, fairly short presentation. So because I can't see all 40-some participants in one view on my screen here, I'll probably wait till after, because I'm sure if someone raises their hand, it will be easy for me to miss. Okay, so real quickly about Proficientz, and I won't spend a lot of time here. So for those of you who don't know us, been around since 2001. We train product managers, product marketing managers, and then sales enablement types. And what we do is very different than what I would call traditional product management, product marketing training. And it's all about delivering value from the top of the customer organization down. And so the most important things to remember, especially for those of you in product management roles, is the way we teach it. The goal is to eliminate all of the silos and competing priorities across product teams, which is, seems like a way of life for anyone for as long as you've been in product management. And here's the thought behind it is what's best for every product is usually not the most valuable thing for the customer, right? So it's a much more holistic view of the customer that we get, like, okay, all of product management, product marketing, sales, everybody, let's huddle up and let's take one common view of the customer. Let's understand what's driving their organization from the top down, right, which is usually the market dynamics, right? So if you look at what COVID has done to every organization, right, the ones most visible to us are, think about restaurants or the hospitality industry, right? So strategically, if restaurants are going to survive, they're putting strategies in place. Many of them, it's like, okay, to compensate for our 50% dining capacity, they're trying to boost their, online ordering and takeout and delivery business to compensate for that, right? So that's a strategic initiative. So if you think about your customers, there are strategies at the top of the organization that then filter down into the departments where your product plays. So to understand, so if you want to deliver strategic value, you have to understand what the strategic goals and the outcomes are your customers are looking for, and then how those, what's the ask on the areas of the company where your products play. So if your products play in HR, what's HR being asked to do because of the strategy of the company? Or if it's IT, what's IT being asked to do? What's sales being asked to do? What's marketing being asked to do because of the strategy of the company? And what kind of outcomes are they looking for? And then how does that impact people's jobs in the trenches, right? And so that's the tactical aspect of it. So normally, as product managers and product marketers, we tend to, by hook or by crook, we end up getting driven down to the tactical level. And sometimes it's hard to see beyond what's valuable to our users. So whether we're going top down or bottom up, if I'm going to go bottom up, it's like I'm going to make these people better at their jobs to improve some departmental metric that's important to the company because it supports the strategy, which is being driven by the dynamics of the market, right? So we get everybody behind one view of the customer, and we understand what are the biggest outcomes or goals they're trying to accomplish, and then where are the obstacles. And that way, it's pretty obvious what's most important for each of us, that, the role our products play in helping customers get those outcomes. And if I compare that to traditional product management, we go out and we look for problems our product can solve, and then we have to validate the problem and make sure there's a market for it and do all that. Our approach cuts to the chase, because if there's something standing in the way of a strategic goal of a customer, if you remove that obstacle, it has strategic value. So by nature of connecting the problem to an outcome, the extent to which it's strategic or not is pretty obvious. So it requires a different type of thinking, a different way to uncover and define business requirements and how you drive, the strategy across your whole portfolio and then down to your individual product plans and roadmaps. But the good news is it makes it a lot easier for everybody, because you're not all fighting with each other, because we can all make the case for why our stuff is more important and you're all right. But how do you reconcile it? Okay, so that's about Proficientz. Now, when you're going to market yourself as a solution, let's talk about a headline. So I'll put this in context of if you were in an interview, right? Someone's going to say, well, Steve or John or Jason, why should I hire you? Diane, why should I hire you? Stephanie, why should I hire you? All right, so I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to think about that. If you walked into a job interview and the first thing the interviewer said to you or the hiring manager said to you is, why should I hire you? How would you answer that question? Think about that for just a second. Now, if most of you follow what would be a typical answer to that, your response would be because I have experience or I have a skill or I can do something, right? So I is a big part of that answer, right? You're answering it literally. Why should I hire you? And it's because I can do something for you, right? Here's the difference between marketing yourself as a product and a solution. So the difference between a product and a solution, I'll go back to our product management world. Products are what we build. Solutions are what customers do. So just think about, what is it my customers do and why do they do it and why is it important to the success of their business? Okay. So a solution is more about how do we make customers better at what they do because of what we're good at. So if you put that in context of marketing yourself, okay, and someone says, well, why should I hire you? Think about answering that with, because you, the employer, are going to get something that's really important to you because of the skills I have or the experience I have or something that I do very well. Okay? And so, some examples to that are, Like, why should I hire you? So if your specialty is something like product usability, I would answer that question like, you know, your renewal rates are going to be much higher and you won't have to discount, right? Because if users love your product that much and they live in your product, then the chances are they're going to renew, okay? And because your adoption rates are so high and usage is so high, that gives you more leverage to not have to discount, okay? And so then it's, you know, if you are a VP or director, right? And someone says, why should I hire you? You want to go a little bit higher. And you might say something because, like this, like, because you're going to get more valuable products to market faster that are going to drive growth. Okay. Now, that obviously begs the question, so why is, you know, what are you going to do that's going to help me meet that goal? But first and foremost is think about what you're really good at. Okay, so every one of us has a specialty. We have a comfort zone. There's stuff we do well. There's stuff we love to do, which is probably the stuff we do well. There are things we know we're not that great at. Okay, but think about what your specialty is, because if you're going to market yourself as a high value solution, the worst thing you can do is put a resume out there, which is your brochure. Just put a resume out there that tries to be everything to everyone. And so the point of marketing yourself as a solution is, I have a specific skill and strength that delivers a very specific benefit or outcome to a potential employer. Let's focus on that, and let's find employers who really need what it is I'm good at, okay? So no different than marketing a solution in the traditional product management world is, let's find customers who are trying to accomplish something that we can help them do better than any of our competitors. And let's find low-hanging fruit and let's go after it. So just give that some thought. So what is it you're really good at? What is it you love to do? What do you have a passion for? And then what's the benefit of that strength to an employer? And phrase it as if it's something really important to them. Okay, so then you got to have anchors to this value story. So someone says, you know, okay, Jason, great. So higher renewal rates, less discounts. What is it you bring to the table? Okay, so now they're asking specifically, what is it you do? Now, you have to be patient, so don't go to the I yet. This is where you're going to engage a hiring manager. You're going to say, well, first of all, here's why your renewal rates aren't what they are, and here's why you're having to discount, right? Users don't love living in your product because they have to work harder for the product than it works for them, as an example. Or you're creating features with benefits instead of creating, you know, use cases, closed loop use cases that produce an outcome that customers want, right? Or if someone says, well, okay, you're going to help me get more valuable products to market faster, what are you going to bring to the table to help us do that? My first response would be, let me tell you why it's not happening. Here are all the things preventing you from delivering higher value products and getting them to market faster. Then, once we get through that, then it's okay, here's how I can help you. Okay, so if your specialty is usability, it's here's why your products are not as usable as they need to be and why you're having renewal rate issues. Here's what I'm going to bring to the table that's going to get you over those hurdles or eliminate those obstacles, right? Same if you're going for a VP director level job. It's here's why, here's what's stopping you from getting high value products to market faster to drive growth, right? This isn't happening, this isn't happening, right? And because, think of it this way, you're telling people something they already know, which is a good thing in this case, because that's where you're forming some sort of an emotional connection with them. Because if I want to hire you for a VP or director job, I know we have issues getting products to market and the value's never what it turns out to be, and I want someone to fix that for me. So if you understand why the problems exist, that tells me clearly he or she knows how to fix it. And so it's, you know, when you're selling yourself as a solution, it's context. Context is really the key. And context is just about having a conversation with people, or even if you put it on a resume, it's letting them know you understand the world they're living in, because it's like, wow, if he or she understands this, they're probably pretty darn good at it. They're probably good at fixing it, and I should consider at least, you know, bringing this person in for an interview. And so when you are the solution, it's here's what I'm going to help you accomplish. Here's why it's critical to your success. Here are the things stopping you. and then you get to, here's what I bring to the table. All right. And I know that's hard because the first thing someone says to you is, you know, John, tell me about yourself, or Diane, tell me why you're applying for this job. All right. Some interviewers are good, some are not prepared. They throw questions out there. Sometimes you have to set the rules of the game, right? And I've had a lot of interviewers do that with me back when I was out, you know, before I started Proficientz, and I'd go to different job interviews and you know, where it was appropriate without coming across as obnoxious or controlling, you know, I would usually start the interview with the question myself. I'd say, you know, hey, Jason, tell me what's going on at Acme Company and what is being asked of product management. What are you looking for product management to do? How does my role fit into the big picture? Right? Don't be afraid to ask the first question, because then you set yourself up to talk about, well, here's why that doesn't happen. Here are all the issues that happen. Here's the skill I'm good at. Here's how I'm going to help you, right? It plays right into your hands. So with that, let's take a couple of questions, and you know, for those of you who have had experience, or for those of you who have actually done this and it's worked well for you, please share it with others.
So John, this is Jessica. Quick question. How might you know, without having an insider's view of the company, what is stopping the company from succeeding, from overcoming their biggest obstacles?
In some cases, you might not know. Now, there are some indicators, right? So I do this till this day because when, you know, someone is interested in training or I want to contact someone, I look at what's going on in the company, press releases, things like that, to sort of figure things out. And there are some common denominators. So if a company has recently gone through an acquisition, you know there's a nightmare bringing the cultures together and the product teams together and getting everybody on one page, right? That's a gimme. If a company has just released a new product, you know darn well it's not as good as the press release makes it look, right? And so issues getting products to market, it's like, hey, I see you just released a new product, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, you can talk about trials and tribulations of, you know, things that go into a launch. But for those of you who've been in the profession for a while, for those of you who've been through, you know, at least 2 or 3 jobs, you know where the common denominators are, and those are usually a pretty safe bet to throw out there in the starting part of a conversation, because if a hiring manager disagrees with those or says, no, those aren't an issue, that's still good, because then he or she's going to tell you what is the issue, and then the conversation will go from there. So one quick plug, if you can still see my screen here, and then my slides are done, is if you want to learn this whole top-down solution approach, outcome-based product management, product marketing, you can get it online at very reasonable cost. We do it all by subscription. There are 13 lessons. You get access to all of them as many times as you want during your subscription period. And it also includes a portfolio product management certification as part of the plan. So you get to certify some unique skills you won't find anywhere else. So we would love to have you on board with that. People have loved these courses so far, so feel free to join the fray. All right, Jason, I'm going to stop sharing. It's all yours.
All right, that's great. Thank you so much, John.